What in the world is sarcoidosis? Well, you may not have heard of this fairly uncommon autoimmune disease, but it can happen to anyone. Dr. Freda Lewis-Hall, the Chief Medical Officer of Pfizer, is back. We're going to discuss this seemingly mysterious illness. Thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure, always a pleasure. You know, our healthy immune systems learn to protect us from disease and infection. That's a great thing. But if you have sarcoidosis, your immune cells may mistakenly harm your healthy cells, leading to inflammation and to tissue and organ damage. Now, it can happen in anyone, but it most commonly occurs in African Americans and people of Northern European descent.
And the reason we mention it as a mysterious illness is it can affect nearly every part of the body. It can affect your skin, heart, eyes, liver, kidneys, bones. You're beginning to realize now that wherever these immune cells all clump together, that organ system can be affected, but that's not all. It can affect even more than that.
It can even affect your brain and your nervous system, but the most common area that's affected above all else is the lung and the lymph nodes, in particular the lymph nodes that are in the chest.
Now, Alan is a pharmacist who was stunned when he received a sarcoidosis diagnosis. And in Alan's case, it was his heart that was damaged. Alan, thank you for joining us. And we just mentioned that it is a mysterious illness. When were you diagnosed?
I was diagnosed about 1.5 years ago.
And how did you have any idea something was going on?
Well, I'm a fairly active guy. I'm a cyclist. And I started having a hard time keeping up with my buddies while I was out riding. And it got to the point where even climbing a flight of stairs made me so out of breath that I had to sit down and take a rest. So I ended up going to the doctor.
The symptoms mimic many other illnesses. We don't quite know the cause. So how did you finally find out that you had sarcoidosis?
Well, after a lot of the normal heart tests came back negative, I went to a pulmonologist, a lung doctor, and they did a CAT scan and found out that I had these enlarged lymph nodes in my chest, and so they did a biopsy. It was during that biopsy that I actually went into heart block and found out that I needed a pacemaker.
The symptoms are sometimes also very hard to discover. So, because they come on gradually, sometimes they last for years, sometimes they come on quickly and then they go away, and sometimes people don't have any symptoms at all. So what were your symptoms? What was your experience?
So for me, the symptoms came on pretty rapidly and went away as soon as I had that pacemaker implanted. And you know, the best part is I feel really great today, and I now have a medical team where, even my cardiologist has said to me, I never see people this early in the disease progression. Usually they need a transplant by the time they come to me, so good for you for getting it taken care of early.
And by getting it taken care of early, you're able to take steps to improve your quality of life. Now, those with sarcoidosis, they should be monitored regularly by a team, and that team can help decide how often to perform certain tests that can monitor the disease. This can include everything from breathing tests, blood tests, such as liver and renal function labs, chest x-rays, and of course exams of the organs we mentioned, eyes, skin, and any other organ that might be involved.
Now, it's so important for people who have sarcoidosis, you heard all those symptoms, and many doctors may be involved, to have a good system to keep track of all of your medical information. And of course, if you want more information on sarcoidosis, you can go to gethealthystayhealthy.com.
And Alan, I want to thank you personally for sharing your story with us. We really appreciate it. We wish you the best of luck with your health. And of course, you can always visit thedoctorstv.com for more information. We'll be right back.